Hello guys, let's learn to create a 2D rippling flag frame per frame animation using Blender Grease Pencil. To follow along, you can download the starting blend file for free from my Gumroad, link in the description. And if you want to support the free content on this channel, choose the option that contains the full version too. Amnesty International concluded Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Silence is complicity. Let's start. Let's start by adding some guides to this triangle that represents our flag. So let's do Y with the Grease Pencil Tools add-on enabled. You can select the triangle layer, and in draw mode you select the line tool, and then we can start drawing some guides. So start from here, we left click and drag to create a line like this, somewhat parallel line, but with a gap bigger here than here. And you see these yellow dots here, you can left click on them and drag to adjust your line, and then you click your middle mouse button or do enter to commit. I will create another line under the flag. So start from here, we keep the same distance here, left click and drag and try to do the opposite. This seems good, middle mouse button, and then inside the flag or the triangle, again we keep roughly the same distance. We start from here, left click and drag, and we do something like this, middle mouse button, and then in the lower side, again left click, drag, and do something similar but opposite, and then middle mouse button. And I want to lower the opacity of my guides, so I will do Y, and you see here this line, this gray line, you can left click on it and drag, and you can lower the opacity of this layer. And now with the Y button still maintained, we click on the plus sign to add a new layer. There is a feature missing here, we can't rename the layer, so I will release the Y key now and go here, or you can go here, and we can rename the layer to flag. FLAG, enter, and with this layer selected, you can select it here again or here, or you can go again Y and hover over the flag and release Y, and now it is the active layer, and we can start drawing the upper edge of the rippling flag. So again, I will select my draw tool and I will do something like this. I will create a bump on top and then one on the bottom, and then again one on top, again here, and then like this. This is the basic shape of the upper side of the flag, and this is the most important drawing that we will do in this class. Of course, it looks ugly and it doesn't respect the guides that we drew. So what we will do, we will go to edit mode tab, and then we select this line, and we will enable curve editing. But before enabling it, we will left click here and see our settings here. So curve resolution 32 is good, threshold 0.3, corner angle, don't touch this, and then adaptive resolution needs to be off. Now we can enable curve editing, and we have these points here that will help us edit our grease pencil line as a curve. So now we can adjust our ugly drawing. We can go here, select this point and do G to move it. And you can also rotate a point by doing R like this, or you can only use G. Let's do escape. You can select the points of the handle here. We have two handles with each point. So you select one, you can do G, and here also you can rotate and you can extend this line and have this effect here. You increase the curve or decrease it by changing the size of this handle. So I'll do the same here. We select this point, we can rotate with R, and we can select a handle and move it and shorten it, lengthen it. We do the same here. We select a point and then we can select a handle and move it like this. Then I will do this points and again select the handle and adjust my shapes. This one, I can now adjust it and put it on this guideline. And then this one, maybe up, maybe select this one, G and move it. Select this one, G again and move. Select this one, G and move. We can do R, rotate a little bit. We can select this one, G and move like this. Again, this one, and this time we'll put this line on this guideline. So G and move it here. Select this one, G. Select this one, G again and move. Select this one, G. And you get it. Select this one, G and move like this. And so we have a bump on top, and then we have this, and then we have this, and see that we have also bumps on the sides. It's like the pieces of a puzzle. And I also want this bump here to be bigger than this one, and then this one bigger than this one. So the more you go to the right, the more these bumps will be smaller. So I think I should start by making this one smaller. So select this one, G, and move it here. This one, G, and move it here. We move this one here. Somehow it was deselected. Let's click on the line again. This one now is selected, and we do G and move it here. Maybe move this one like this. And you can adjust as you wish. And as you judge that your curve is looking good. Your judgment may be different than mine. You can disable overlays, Alt-Shift-Z to see more clearly your line, and then you can decide if it needs more adjustments. I think it's good. I also have, if you watched my previous class, I have the shortcut D to disable and enable overlays. You can just right click and do change shortcuts or create shortcuts and use D, or you can just use the default shortcuts Alt-Shift-Z. So now I want to create the lower side of the flag. So I will select this point and I will press the E key to extrude or to extend the line. And you see that it created a new point. Let's do R to rotate it and G to move it maybe here, maybe R to rotate again, maybe select this handle and G and move it up. And you see that we have a curve here, but what I want is a sharp end. And to create a sharp end, I will need to select this point and then press V on the keyboard. And here we have set handle type, and I can choose one from these and I will choose vector. So now we have our sharp edge and we can click on a handle and do G and move like this. Click again on this one, G like this. And G on this one and move it here, G on this one and move it like this. We can select this one and adjust the handles further. Now I will select this point and do E again, and I will create the lower edge of the flag. R to rotate, G to move, and then I will do E again, maybe here. And when you see a bump like this, you will create a bump similar to it. When you see a bump that goes up, you will create also a bump that goes up. So let's do E again and extrude and move it here to this line, and then E again here to this line, and then E again to this line. And see that we have these two rings here. These are the ones that are supposed to attach the flag, and you see that my line or my edge of the flag is above this line, and then we will have another line here under this line, and it will create like a side edge of the flag later. And this line or this ring will be between this line and the other line that we will add later. So we have this in the bottom, and we can create more points to be able to control the curve better. So I will select this point and then shift select this point, and I will right click and do subdivide. And now I have a new point and I can adjust my curve like this. I can do the same here. Select, shift select this one, right click, subdivide. You can do this whenever you need more details and more control. So don't hesitate to do that. And let's try to adjust these curves. Select this one, G, and move it on top of this line. And maybe select this one, maybe G and move it here. Select this one, G, and create a curve like this. And you see that there is a difference between the curves on the bottom and the ones on top. So these ones have these bumps on the sides, like a puzzle piece, as I said, but these ones are just regular curves like this. And that's because when the flag will do this, we will see the other side of it and we'll add some lines later. But here in the bottom, it's like a curve that is going to our side. We will draw some lines, but they won't go all the way to the bottom, but we can imagine that they go like this and create this bump here that looks towards us. If we imagine that it's a 3D flag, and here too. I can't explain it very well, but that's why these curves do not look like the curves on the top. I think the flag looks somehow good. I can hide overlays again. You can again adjust your curve if you wish. I think I will do some more adjustments. I think the curves are not smooth enough for my liking, so I will maybe make them smoother. Maybe like this. I think this is good. And now we can go to frame 7. We will have a new keyframe on 7, and there will be 5 frames between the first frame, frame number 1, and the 7th frame. And then in the end, at frame 13, we will duplicate the first frame here. And then between frame number 7 and frame 13, we will also have 5 frames. And of course, the playback to create the loop, instead of going to frame 13, that is identical to frame 1, it will loop when it reaches frame 12 to frame 1. So we'll have frame 1 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then frame 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then frame 1 again. It looks like this, that the first half is longer than the second half, but they are actually the same length. So on frame 7, with auto keying enabled, I can start editing my curve again, and it will create automatically a keyframe on frame 7. Let's select one point, any point, and then do G to move it. And you see that a new keyframe was created on frame 7. And we have this line, the red line, that is the onion scanning, showing us the previous frame. And we will do the opposite curves. So if we have a bump on top, we will make it go to the bottom and vice versa. Let's move this point again, G, and move it here, R to rotate it, and then we can move this one down and this one up, this one also up. Don't worry about this mess, we will fix it in a moment. This one up and this one down, and I will start fixing these. So I select this one, R to rotate, G to move it a little bit here, this one, R to rotate, this one also R to rotate like this, and we will create the opposite curve. Again, we respect the guide, or try to respect it. Select this one, move it here, select this one, move it like this. Now it looks like a heart. This one and move it here, maybe move it here. Select this one here, this one, select this one, move it with G, this one, G, and move it like this one. And you see that also the side bumps are opposite now, and we are creating like these number 8s here. This one we move it to the bottom, and this one we move it to the top. R to rotate. This one also R to rotate, very nice. Move it here, and we created another number 8 here. And then this curve needs to be also opposite. And this sharp edge should be on the opposite side now, I guess here, or maybe actually here. So let's select this point. And if you do G and move this point, unlike the others, let's do escape. Like these ones that will also have their handles moved. This one will move only the point on the corner. And that's why we need to box select all 3 points and then G and move them down. And then I guess R to rotate like this. We created a mess, but we will fix it, don't worry. R and rotate it a little bit more, and then select this point and move it up. And we create an arc, the opposite of this arc. Select this one, move it like this. Select this one, move it to the guide. And then this one, select this one, move, shorten it. This one also. And yes, this is the basic shape. We will adjust it later and make it look better. Let's start again from here. Move this point down, G. Move this point up. Move this point down. And let's select this one, R to rotate. this one to R to rotate, and again we can select this one G and like this. So this one R, G, move it maybe here, G and move it here, like this. You see this arc is larger than this one, so we'll try to make it similar to this one. Let's select this one G and move it here, G again, then select this one also, select this point G and this one. Try to create smooth, beautiful curves. And then, yes, this one is opposite here. And then this one should be opposite and should be like this. So we move this point G and move it here. And you see that there is a mess here. I guess we should select this one G and move it here. Maybe select this one, move it here. Select this one like this. And this one will help us create this arc here, like this. Let's hide our overlays. And let's start fixing our curves. The only point that won't move is this one and this one. So these 2 points will stay at their place. G move here. I'm recording at night and I'm a little bit sleepy. Select this one, move it up to the guide, and then this one, try to make a beautiful curve. It's all about beautiful curves. Our flag will be curvy and beautiful. And this one, look at this ugly curve here, like this. So maybe move this one here, and then this one. See this line here? The handle shouldn't be stuck to the curve or doing something like this, but something like this. So if you put it a little bit far from the line here, from this line, you will make a better curve. Then this one, in this case, we have 2 long handles, I think. I guess this one is too long. So you can select this point G and move it back and move this one down. Always be mindful of the guides. How about this one? You see this one is stuck or is crossing, going like this on this line. It needs to be like both lines are far from the curve. Let's try to disable overlays again, D, and I think this looks good. You can use the arrows on the keyboard, left arrow to see the previous frame and right arrow to see this frame, and you can try to adjust. Maybe this curve needs to be a little bit bigger. So let's enable overlays again and maybe select this one, maybe this one like this. Try to have like this. Maybe this one also needs to be a little bit bigger. You always need to imagine the bump here, between these 2 bumps and this bump here. Imagine an arc between these 2 and imagine also an arc between like here. If you imagine that, you can create a beautiful like this. Disable overlays and again left arrow, right arrow. I think we have our initial animation already. Great. And now we can duplicate the frame number 1, select it, and you can either do Shift D to duplicate and move it here, or you can put the playhead on frame 13 here. And while this frame is selected, you do Ctrl C for copy and Ctrl V for paste, and we have our duplicate here. And then we will go between these 2 frames, this one and this one, and we will create a transition between these 2 frames so that these curves start to go forward towards this state here. And then later we will do the opposites, a frame where we go from this state to this state. At first I thought they would be the same state, but it's different. Going from this state to this state, And moving forward from this state to this state is different from going from this second state to the first state again. Because in both cases, we want a forward motion. And if we use the transition between these two, if we use it here, we will have, instead of a forward motion, we will have a backward motion. It's like we will go like this and then go back again. Again, let's enable overlays, and with AutoKey enabled, of course, we can move a point G and move it like here, and it created a new keyframe. And now we have a different drawing on this keyframe, on this keyframe, and on this keyframe. So again, on frame number 4, and we want this point to be between the previous keyframe and the next keyframe. So I guess G again and move it here, just in between, try to have the same distance. So again, we select this one, G, and move it to the middle between the green and the red, and this one also. And we are creating that forward motion that I talked about. This one between this curve and this curve. And this one needs to be between this red curve and this green curve. Selected G and move it here. And then if you go here, we have this edge here, and the next state is here. So this one needs to be between this state, that is the state of the previous frame, and this state. So let's select these 3 points and do G and move them here in the middle and a little bit forward. Imagine that we will have an arc like this flag doing an arc animation and going here. So you need to imagine how the motion will be. If you imagine the motion, you will know where to put your points. Let's do R to rotate and G to move it a little bit here. And then we go back and we adjust a little bit more. So this point needs to be again G between the red and the green. So let's move it here. This one, let's select this point G and move it here, and you see that we have the red here and then the green will be here. So we need to have a curve that is between this curve here and this line here, and for that we need more points to create that curve. So we select this point, shift select this point, right click and do subdivide, select this one and move it in between this and this. We can select this and make the curve bigger. We can select this one and move it also this line between this line and this line. Can be a little bit tricky and confusing, and you need to be focused and careful. Let's select this one. Let's move it a little bit here. So this one needs to be between this curve and this green curve. Let's move this one. So we have the base of the previous frame and the base of the next frame. So I guess this point needs to be between these two here, I guess. And then this one, we moved it from here to here. And then where should this one be? It's a little bit hard to find the next green because the flag went from being in the bottom, the edge here, to the top. And I guess I will move this point first. So G and move it. And I think it needs to be in the middle between this line and this line. And the same for this one. So I'll move it up. Let's select this one and move like this. Select this one, maybe rotate with R. Maybe select this one, G, G. Maybe this one needs to be like this. Select this one like this. Yeah, we will keep it like this and then start on the bottom side. And when we reach this point again, we will adjust it further and make it look better. Okay, now this curve needs to be between this place here and this place. So G and move it in between. This one needs to be between this line and this line. So here, this bottom here needs to be here in the middle between these ones and this one. So G and move it here. This one also here between this and this. And this one needs to be between this and this. So G and move it here. Nice. Let's adjust. And you see also that this line needs to be between this and this. So we will select this point, shift select this point, right click, subdivide, and this point we will move it G and move it here in between. And then we will fix this one. So you see that this one is narrow and this one is a larger curve, and this one needs to be in between, larger than this one and narrower than this one. So like this, and then this one seems fine, and this one maybe needs to be, I don't know, like this and like this maybe. And this point needs to be between the red line here and the green line, so let's move it up here, I guess. Nice. This one too, this one needs to be between this line and this line. So move it a little bit up. Select this one, G, and maybe this one, like this, or maybe like this, G, and move like this. Here it seems that the points are crowded, so you can remove some points if you see that you have too many points. Maybe here we can remove this one. So I will do X for delete, and then instead of points, I will do dissolve. And you can do just XD to dissolve a point, and now we have that point removed without breaking our line. So now we can move this one here maybe like this and create a better looking curve. Can do something like this. Always be mindful of the guide, so I will move this one a little bit up. Maybe this one here. You see that it's a little bit messy in the end, and it's a little bit hard to do the in-betweens. But we have, so this point between this and this point between this and this. Maybe I should select it and lower it to be in the middle. This one is in between here, this state and this state. Maybe we adjust this one like this. This one between this one, the previous one, and the next one. And this one is between this and this. I think I made a mistake by deleting that point here. So I will select again and shift select, right click, subdivide, and I like this look here. I like it like this. Let's do D to the Zapier overlays again, and we have this. So we have this state, and then this state, and then this state. We can do the up and down arrows. So 1, 2, 3. So this is the first state in between. And now we create the one between the second and the first state. Let's enable overlays again, D or Alt Shift Z, and we create another movement forward. So here, since we don't have a keyframe here, we have the previous frame as this one, number 4, and the next frame as this one, that is number 13, and that is also number 1, of course. But when we start moving the points, I want to move this point to be between here and here. If I move it, now we have a new frame, and the onion for this frame disappeared and it is replaced by the onion of this frame. Again, we move this one, G, and move it here. This one, move it between here and here, like this. This one between here and here. Nice. This one here, between this and this. This one here, and we have a line here that turns into a new bump here. So I will move this one, G, and move it a little bit here, and then I will select this one and then shift select this one, right click, subdivide, and I can create a curve that is between this state and this state. I can adjust it, and this point is between this line and this line. Very nice. Great. This one is between this and this green one. This one needs to be here between this and this. Like this. This one, G, and like this. Again, we have this dilemma here in the end. It's a little bit messy, but don't worry about it. Let's do the lower side first and then clear that mess. So G and move, oh, I didn't select this one. Let's do escape or right click. This one was selected, so let's select this one. G and move it in between this and this. This one between this and this. So here, this one between this bump and this bump. G and here. This one between this line, and this one here between these two. You see we have a transition from this bump to this bump on top. So select this one, shift select this one, right click, subdivide, and I can create a curve that is in between these two. Select this one and rotate it a little bit. Here I can try to make a better curve. Whenever you feel that your curves, you can't edit your curves as you wish, you can subdivide and create new curves. So G and move this. This one should be between this one and this one. And this one needs to be between this place and this place. So again, select these 3 points and move them to the middle of this. Try to imagine the arc. R to rotate, G to move again. This one needs to be a little bit down. Since we have in this state, we have the edge as if doing an arc like this, a lower arc. I guess here we should do the opposites and do like an upper arc. So let's try to do that. So select this one, G, and move here. Then select this one. Maybe I should delete this one. So XD or dissolve it. Yes, nice. And we have, so it's between this line and this line. Maybe we can get it even lower. This one needs to be between, so this one between this and this one between this and this. Yes. This. Should I delete this one? Let's try XB. Let's do D. I think this is good. And now we can play this animation. Maybe I will hide my guides here. And I try to play this. I think it does look good. And we have a good initial animation. And now we can do more in-betweens and make it smoother. In some of the common parts there is really awful audio because of a problem in my microphone. I tried to enhance it with AI but it didn't work well. So I'm really sorry about that. But I think also that you should be grateful because this was to be a paid course, and because of the low quality audio I decided to just make it free and not record it again. So again, sorry, and enjoy the rest of the course. Now we start to do the in-betweens, and first let's do Y and hide the guides layer. And then when you do this, don't forget to go up again to make the flag layer active, or else we will draw on this layer. So go over here and release Y, and then we will go here. So here it's different from doing these. Here we went halfway between this frame and this frame, but here we have 2 frames in between. So we will go a third of the way here and then another third here. I usually do this frame and then this one, and this one. And then when I finish them, I do this. But this time I will do this and then this to show you how it works. And then you can, if you wish, do these by yourself without following my course. Of course, I will show you the whole process of these two. So we start with this one. Let's enable overlays again. And let's start with this point. So we need to move it a third way to this place. G and move it here, I guess. And a new keyframe was created. And let's do this too. And this one. And this one. And now I will do this part here. So you see that it starts from a line and it ends by this bump. And that means that we need more points here. So we select this point, shift select this one, right click, subdivide, select this new point, G, and move it not halfway, but a third of the way.
I don't like this sharp curve, so maybe I will move this one here, like this. Maybe this one a little bit. Maybe move it up. You just imagine it in your head. How would a transition from this line to this line look, and try to create it. And only move a third of the way because we have another frame to do the other third. This guy is above the guidelines, so let's move this one down maybe. Here, I think it's too sharp, so let's move it. Let's move this one with the guide. Shift, middle mouse button, and move here. Again, this one, move it a third of the way. This one, also move it here. And here we need to go from this big curve to this place here. So again, we move this point a third of the way. And this point too. And this point will go here. And we imagine an arc like this. And again, we move this point a third of the way here. Yes, so third, and third. And I think I will keep it like this for now and start from the beginning. Shift, middle mouse button, and move here. And here also, we get from this line to this bump. Select this guy, shift, select this point, right click, subdivide, select this point and move it down only a third of the way. And this one also moves a third of the way here. And see that this bump is narrower than this one. So this one needs to be not as narrow as this and not as wide as this. Let's move this one first, a third of the way, and this one too. And then try to select this point of this handle and do this. Shift, middle mouse button, move here. Select this point, G, and move it a third of the way. Shift, middle mouse button, select this point, G, move it here. And we have this red line that needs to go to this place. So let's move this one a third of the way again. And this one needs to go here. So let's move it here. And try to smooth the curves. Maybe move these ones like this. Maybe smooth this part here. This hide overlays. And doesn't look that bad actually. We could keep it like this, I think. Maybe we can smooth it a little bit. Maybe this part here. Like a third of the way from here to here. This part here is not as close to this part as I would wish, so I think we should move it up a little bit like this. I think here is good. Here we have this distance and here we have double the distance. It's like that on all what we did. So this distance is the double of this distance. I think we are good here. We can do double overlays again and see. We can also compare this frame with this one and see that we are creating a movement forward of these ripples. And now we can go here. Let's enable overlays again. And this time again, we won't have to go a third of the way, but again, we will go half of the way from this place to this place. So I guess this part is easier than this one. Let's start from the beginning. Let's move this point half of the way. This point also half of the way. The more you do, the easier it gets. The more frames you make or keyframes, the easier the rest of the frames will be. Because you'll have more and more guidance and you will have to make slighter changes. And it's easy to see where you have to put your curves and how they should look like. Let's move this point here in the middle and this one also in the middle. And always watch that you have a red line behind and a green line before. Because sometimes it can get confusing and you find yourself like getting behind the red line, and that will create a backward movement. But if we do have some of them, we will fix them later. Let's move this one up. Let's select this point and move it half the way. So here, leave this point here. And let's start from the beginning and then fix this part here. I think shift didn't work. So again, 0 to camera view, shift, middle mouse button here, and move this one, G, select this one and move this handle half of the way between this and this. Select this one and move it half of the way. Remove this one and then we get back to this one to make it wider if there is need to do it. This one also half of the way. And here, maybe a little bit more. And this, then this one, this one. Here you see with this green line, we didn't respect the guide here, but we don't have to have like absolute precision. Select this one and move it to the guide. And we continue with this one. So this one halfway here and this one here. If you find that you have more points than you need in this part, you can dissolve some points. I think it's fine. This guy needs to move out of the way through here. This one, I think, too. Maybe rotate it like this and then move them again up so that this guy is with the guide. Maybe rotate like this. I think in these cases where we have a line that goes down and another one that needs to go up, I think it's a good idea to go with the crossings here. To put the black line on the crossing of the red and the green one. Maybe you should do that here too, like this. So we have this, we can hide the overlays again and take a look at our new frame and try to use the arrows to test this animation. I think it does look good. Let's start doing frame number 5. Enable overlays again. You start again doing the third movement. And this time I will do the third first so that I don't get confused. And then I do the rest ones with the half movement. So let's start with this one. G, move here. Again, a third of the way. I almost forgot again. And just move this one a little bit down. G, and move it here. This one to here. And make it a little bit wider. Move it down. Like this one, move up. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. Let's move this one, G. Let's select these two together. Select, shift, select G and move them like this. This one is not smooth enough for my liking, so I'll do this. G and move this one a little bit. Select this one, shift select this one, G and move them here. Try to adjust. And this guy should go here, so I don't know, it's a little bit confusing. Let's select this point and move it half of the way. Let's remove also this one. And I guess I will use this crossing here and put the black line on the crossing of the red and green. Select this handle, move it like this. Let's move this guy third of the way to here. So 1, 2, 3. I guess I should move it here. Select this point, or you can select all three. G, move here. R to rotate. And we start from the beginning and then come back to fix the spot. Shift middle mouse button. Select this point, move it a third of the way. Select this one and move it a little bit here. Then this one and move it here. Let's move this one. Let's move this one. And try to widen this a little bit. Select this one, move it here. This one, G, and move it here. This one, and move it. I think I did F and F will close my strokes here. So since F is close to G, be careful with it. And when that happens, when it fills your stroke or it closes your stroke, you can do Control Z. But if you don't notice it and you keep working and you can't undo that unless you undo all your work, let's do Control Shift Z. You can instead select this point and then the opposite point, Shift select it, and right click to do subdivide, and then you select the new point and you do X, and then you choose delete points. So you can type next P, so X then P, or you can click on this one. Don't do the solve, because the solve will only delete the points and does not delete the line. So again, select, shift select, right click, subdivide, select the new point and do X, then points. Another thing you can do if you hit F accidentally a lot, I think let's do F3 and look for close stroke. I found close, it's under the stroke menu. Maybe it's this one, let's do escape. So stroke, close, where is it? Yes, close, and it has the shortcut F. You can right click on this and remove the shortcut so that you don't close your strokes by accident anymore. So F now doesn't do anything. Let's keep it like this. Let's go back to our strokes. So select this one and you see that it's harder to notice when you are here zoomed in and you don't see the edge of your lines. It can be really annoying. So G moved up a third of the way, and we try to smooth this curve here by selecting this point, selecting this handle, G, and move here, maybe like this. And then this one, maybe take it to the crossing, G here, and select this handle and move it like this and create a smooth edge. Select this point, move this one like this. Maybe we can move it a little bit further, this point, G here. Maybe this looks good. I don't know if it will look good animated. Let's hide the overlays and try. Maybe we can use that crossing. Let's do D again. I don't know. Maybe like this. No, I think I will abandon that idea of putting this line on the crossing. It doesn't look bad here. I guess I'll keep it like this and then go here to frame 8 and enable my overlays and keep working on this. So again, here we don't have a frame. We are looking at this frame as the red line and this frame as the green line. And to see this frame instead as the red line, we need to have a keyframe here and we create it by just moving one point. So G and move it, and yes. Now this one is the red line, and we can start moving a third of the way again. Here we need to go from this line to this bump. So we select this point, shift select here, right click, subdivide, select this point and G and move it up again a third of the way. If you don't know that yet, and move this, shift mid mouse button. This point is actually the origin point of the grease pencil object. I always think it is one of these points. So let's select this one, G, and move here. G and move here. This one too, down a little bit. Then we get this point. Maybe select all three, box select R. So we need to put it like in this place here. R, rotate, and then here. Maybe R again. No, I think this is good. And then we start from the beginning and we fix again what has to be fixed later. So we select these 2 points, shift select, right click, subdivide, select this point, G, move it up. This point, move it third of the way. Now we have this, and then this one, G, and move it here. This one, I did F here. But it didn't work. So G, select this one here, select this one, G, G, and move. This is too far. Maybe we could narrow this curve here. And then this one needs to move from here to here. So G may be here and use this crossing. And I think we are good. Maybe we use this crossing again. Select this point, G, and like this. And try to do that third way movement. See, be careful here. We need not to put the black stroke ahead of the green stroke. So let's try to adjust and put it a little bit behind, or at least put it on top of it. And also make sure that you are not behind the red line. So here they cross each other. So we need to just be on top of both. We don't want that backward movement. Maybe move it a little bit forward like this. Yes, I think we are good. Let's hide our overlays and try this. I think this is good. And now let's do this one, frame number 11, V again, and again we move a third of the way. So V and move up. Select this one, rotate it a little bit. Move this. We try even in these spaces to move just a third of the way. So this distance is half this distance. It's not very important. I guess I am sometimes perfectionist, but well, that's how I am. Select this one, G, and move a little bit. Again, not too much. Select maybe these 3 points. Select one, shift select this one, and shift select this one, G, and move them here. Then move this one. Select this one, move it here. This one, move it here. And I'll try to adjust these, maybe put it a little bit down, like this, and create some smoother arcs. Again, respect the guides and see here how there is a conflict between the green and the red lines. Since they are almost on top of each other, we put also the black one on top of them. G like this. Maybe this one a little bit off. It's a little bit tricky. So I will create another point. Select this one, shift selects, right click, subdivide, and I can adjust this one so that we are always in between the red and the green. That rhymes. Always in between the red and the green. Yes, now it's time to move this guy third of the way to this place. So let's move this one, G, and move this one. So this curve needs to be a third of the way from here to here, and this guy should be a third of the way from this arc to this arc. You see that it's not always a good idea to respect these crossings. Maybe there is some rule that I'm not aware of, but the most important thing is that our animation looks good. Oh, there is something I forgot to do is to move this point. So we move this point and then we can see how these ones should fit. So select this point, G, and move it a third of the way. I guess here, 1, 2, 3, yes. I will go back to the beginning and then, as usual, we'll fix later. This one up and see how we crossed the green line. So select this point and move it so that we are between the red and the green. Again, select this one, third of the way. Always remember, G and move here. This one and this one. G. So this curve moved a third of the way here, and this guy should move to this place. So it should go from this position to this position. And we should imagine how it will morph from this shape to this shape. So maybe create some kind of this arc, but not as pronounced. So G and do this. Disable overlays again and see how it looks. It looks fine. So we finished all the thirds, and then we do the rest of the frames. We only have 3 left. And now we do half movements again. Enable overlays, and this is the easiest part. So G and move here, G and move out the way. Select this point and put this line between these 2 lines. Here we adjust. Here also we adjust so that this line is in between. Nice. Now we move these 2 here, this one too, this one out the way, and we can adjust. Then we have this arc that moves here, this one that also moves here. These guys that need to go up like this. Maybe we don't need this guy. I'll try to delete it or dissolve it. X and then D or dissolve, and remove this one up. So try to put this arc between these 2 and this line between these 2. You see that this one is like under the guide and this one is with the guide. Maybe we should have respected the guide here. So maybe this is a mistake that I made before, and I will fix it. G and move this one up, or maybe this one like this, and put it with the guide, and then here. So we are not respecting this crossing, but I think this is better. We need to move this point, and then we can see what to do with these ones. G and move here, R. Okay, let's leave it like this and start again from the beginning. Select this one, G, and move here. This one, move it in between these 2. This one, G, and move here. This one, halfway. Then move this one. And you can adjust these curves here. Let's move this one in between this and this one up. Is this good? I think this curve doesn't look good, so I'll try to adjust it. Maybe move this one up, maybe this one also up, and then create a better arc here. Yes, I think it looks better. Maybe we can dissolve this point XD and I think we are good. Let's disable overlays and try to, yeah, it's not bad. Now let's do this one. Enable overlays again. This one up. We have 2 to go. This one. Move this one here. This one here. This one here. This one again in between. Try to fix these curves. I don't know why I'm talking like a robot. This one here. How many times have I said this one and here? Adjust this one here, this one. Again, if you need more points, add more points. If you think that you have too many points, you can delete points. Select these 3, G, move here, R rotates, and then we start from the beginning and fix this mess later. So G here, select this one like this one to the middle, this one here, this one, G, and move it here, this one here, this one. So this one here. Let's do B and hide the overlays to see if, yeah, the curves do look good. Don't they? Shift with mouse button and move this one halfway here. Try to fix this curve. Move this one down. I think respecting the crossends is best when done, yeah, here in the end. But it can be confusing. Here we have like 3 crossends. So which one do we use? And again, the goal is to make it look good. So let's do D and try to see how this looks. Are we done? Is this good? Yeah, it seems that everything is fine. This one is in between of these two. This one is in between of these two. Maybe this one should be more in between these two. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. And if you need more points, you can add more between these two. But I don't think it's necessary. I think this is good. Now let's do the last one. Move this point up. Move this point just a little bit. Move this point also only a little bit. Stick it between these two lines. Shift middle mouse button. Move this guy here. Then you can select all three and move them, of course. But then you will again need to adjust them individually to make your curve look good. So I think I should move this one. And again, be careful of this green line that gets behind your black line. Move this one. Fixing the curves, smoothing the curves. G. And this one needs to be in between this place and this place. So select this point. And this arc also should be between this and this. So let's move this. Is this good? I think so. And then this one needs to be here, in between these two. And then again, we start from the beginning and adjust the end later. Here, 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 here. You need the point between this one and this one. Don't hesitate to add it. If you used Illustrator before, if you worked with vector design before, you may be familiar with these kinds of tweaking. But if it's something new to you, it may be hard to adjust the curves using these handles. But this whole class is a good exercise in using curves. So later, if you use a program like Inkscape, I think it's an open source program like Illustrator. It's also a vector program, and it uses these handles to adjust lines. So this is very good practice if you want to be an illustrator. I want to use this course on here. Again, this curve halfway from this, and this line halfway from this and this. I think we are good. We can hide the overlays and see how our curves look. Maybe we can adjust this one a little bit more. Maybe it's good. You try to make it smoother. B again, hide the overlays and try. Well, we can hit play now since we have all our keyframes and see how it looks. I think this is really good. See if the animation is smooth. See if you have always a forward movement and not a backward movement. And when you spot something that doesn't look good, you can go to that frame and adjust. And it does look good from the first try because I did this several times. This is maybe my 6th time creating this flag. So I have more practice than you, of course. And if yours doesn't look this good, don't worry, it just takes practice. Just adjust it, or you can start again from scratch and your flag will be much better the more you practice. So this is it. We finished this phase successfully, and this was the hardest part. Now we are going to create an edge here and animate it to go with the flag. Let's go to frame 1, shift left arrow, and I will create a new layer. I will name it edge, enter, and then I will do Control Tab to go to draw mode, and I will select my arc tool. My pen brush is still selected, my solid stroke with material mode and with a radius of 50 pixels. Then we can draw an arc. First, let's zoom in a little bit, because once we start drawing the arc, we can't change the zoom anymore. Let's create this arc and get this blue dot here and move it this way. And since the flag is going up, I will create a bump that is up like this. Well, you could make it the gap larger or narrower. I think narrow is better. We can select this yellow dot and move it and this wire that connects the flag to the pole will be between these two lines. And here it seems okay. Now we can do enter or click the middle mouse button, and we can go to edit mode again, tab. Let's enable overlays, and curve editing is still enabled, and we can select our stroke to activate the curve editing on it. Nice. And now we can go to frame 7, and we start editing the line to create the opposite bump. Since now the flag or the lines is looking downward, now the bump will be in the bottom. So we select this point G and move it down, and a new frame was created, or keyframe. We select this point, we select this handle G and move it like this. Select this handle G, select this point, select this handle, and we try to create the opposite bump. Doesn't, of course, to be an exact opposite. I think this is good. We can now disable curve editing, and we have these two bumps. If you play the animation, this is how it looks. And now we need to create the frames in between, but we don't need to do that manually. We just go in between here, and then we can go under, I think, grease pencil and do interpolate sequence, or we can use the shortcut Shift Control E. So let's click on this, and automatically some frames were added. And we have some settings here under the last operation menu, in which you can choose the step. If you want to skip some frames, let's change back to 1. And then you can choose the layer if you want to do it on all layers or only the active layer. And some smoothness if you want to add some smoothness. And iterations, it means that it will smooth more than once, number of times to smooth newly created strokes. The default settings are what we want. We want the interpolation to be only on the active layer. Let's collapse this menu and let's see how this interpolation was done. It is perfect, I guess. And now I will duplicate this frame to here, or with it selected, I do again Control C, Control V. Then I go in between these two. And here on the viewport, I do Control Shift E. And for some reason, I didn't pass the right keyframe here. So let's delete everything, but select all these XD, and then I will select this one. My mistake was to put the cursor on the viewport. So with the cursor here, Control C, Control V, and yes, this is the right keyframe. Let's get the cursor here again, and then the cursor on the viewport, and then we do Control Shift E, and here's our interpolation. Now we can test the animation again, and we have this. Let's disable overlays, and we can hide the guides now, the guides layer, and we have this. Now we will create some lines to materialize the faults on the flag, lines that will be outside and inside the flag. So we'll add a new layer. We will call it lines, enter. And then in edit mode, so I was on the wrong frame. I can delete this or move it to frame 1, G, and move it here. And let's enable overlays. Let's select Y, select the flag layer, and I will select one point. Make sure curve editing is disabled. So one click, one point was selected. I will do Control C and then Y again, and I will make the lines layer active. I will go to frame 1. I'm still on frame 9. Shift left arrow, and I will pass with the cursor on the viewport, Control V to pass that point. So now I have a single point, and we'll use this point to draw lines. This is why edit mode, again, why edit mode is great. You can draw inside this mode. So I will do E to extrude, and this is a line. I will put it here, and then I will do Shift D to duplicate my points and put it here. Try to make it on top of this center line, and then E to extrude and create this second line. Let's do Shift D again to duplicate the point and put it here, and then E and extrude and create a short line here inside the flag. Again, Shift D here, E, and here. We can adjust later the angle of the lines, G, like this, but for now this looks fine, I think.
I'll add another line here and one here. So Shift D, duplicate here. Here only a short line, and then Shift D again, move here. E and create a line like this. This seems to be too long, but I don't know. We'll see later. If it doesn't look good, we will adjust. So now right arrow on the keyboard to go to the next frame, and we can change the placement of these lines with, of course, again, the auto keying enabled. I can now select the whole line here by doing L, but before that, make sure that nothing else is selected. So you can do either Alt A to deselect everything, or you can first left click on this line to deselect anything else and then do L. And now we can do G and move it here. And a new keyframe was created. Then we select this point, G, move it here. I think you get what I'm doing here. This is tedious work. Well, it's not hard work, it's just boring, repetitive work. The hard work is already done when we created the ripples of the flag. Now it's just boring, repetitive 2D frame per frame work. This is what 2D animation artists go through for hours and days and months to create a movie of an hour and a half, and we are only creating an animation of 1 second and we are already bored. So select this one, L and then G and move it here. And boring work sometimes is only boring when you start it, but when you get like deeper in it and when you get in a state of a flow, it can actually be very fun. It's just the resistance at the start, and then when you get in it, you feel the joy of creating and crafting something. And there is nothing like it. It's like you are in a state of meditation with yourself. You are alone with your craft and can create the best moments and the best experiences of life. And people from outside won't understand what you are experiencing, but you do. I heard also that the most important thing in creating something is not creating, but becoming. Since when you create something, you are becoming like better. You are improving your skills and becoming a better person. I think we don't need these two lines anymore, or maybe only this one. Let's do L and move it here. I will make it shorter since the fold is not that pronounced. G like this, and this one, click and then L, and then I will do XD to delete it. And then I will do right arrow to go to the next frame. And here we don't need this line. I will move it to this fold here. So G and move it here. Select this point, G, and move it like this. This one, move it here. This one, I will box select these two, G, and move them here. Select this point, move it here. And always watch the previous frame so that you can make your lines parallel. Select this guy, let's do L, G, and move it here. I think this is good. And then to the next frame, right arrow on the keyboard, this line, L, G, move it here. Maybe make it a little bit longer. You can create another line here. So L and then do Shift D and duplicate it here. Select this point, G, and like this, or maybe like this. Nice. Select this one, G, and move it here. Select this one, G here. Then this point and here and make them parallel. The auto lock layers is very useful here so that we don't accidentally select points from this layer. So with this point selected, cursor over it, L, G, and move it here. Then this one here and this one here. To the next frame, we start again from the beginning. Select this guy, L, G, move it here. This point here and this point here. This guy, L, G, and move it here. This guy here. And this guy here. We can do a quick test and see how we are doing so far. Does look good, I think. Let's finish here. Select this guy, L, move it here. This point here. And this point here. Right arrow to the next frame. We start again from here. Well, we could start from here. since we are here, and then go backwards and start doing like backwards, forward. Move this guy here. Yes. I am teaching you and I'm also learning and improving my methods. This is how the continuous process of learning works. We never stop learning and improving. This seems to be done. Let's do right arrow and start again with this one. No frame was created here, so it's still showing the onion skin of this frame. That's why this looks off. But when we start moving here, the onion skin will be fixed. Nice. Select this guy, L, G, and move it here. Click L, G, and move it here. G, and G. Select the sky L and move it up. Maybe make it shorter. The fold is almost gone here. I don't know if I need to keep this line here. Yes, I will keep it. Okay, so here and here, like this. And to the next frame, maybe you can select this one, L, and duplicate, put it here, and create a short line here. Then this guy here and this guy here. Select L, G and move here. Select L, G and move here. Select this point G, move here. Select again G and move here. I think it should go like this. It should be bent this way and not this way. So maybe we could fix these two. Yes, try to make this one parallel with the next one this time, the one we fixed. And then again, make it parallel with the green one and not the red one. Zoom in. Yeah, this seems good. Let's finish this guy. Now we don't need this line anymore. L, X, D, and this one. What happened? I hid my layer. Let's do Control Z. And move this guy here, G, and make it really short. And in the next frame, it will disappear. Maybe put it up here. Yes, like this. Okay, to the next frame. Let's start with this one and do L and then XD to delete it. And then this one here. Select this one L and move it here. This one L and move it here. This one, she, select this one, she, and this guy, L, and move it here. Make it a little bit longer. Select again L and duplicate it here. Select this guy, G, and move it here like this. So we are almost at the end. Right arrow again, select this guy, L, G, and move it here. And this one, G, move here, make it parallel to the previous one. Select this guy, hover over it, L, G, move here, like this, and like this. Did you get in the state of flow already? I think I did. Now I really enjoy this process. It's just a matter of letting yourself go deeper and go with the flow. Resist the first moments of boredom, and when you do it for enough time, it becomes really enjoyable. Like this. Select this guy, L, G, and move here. And seems this is the end. Now I will duplicate this guy, the first frame, to the frame number 13. So I can do Shift P and duplicate it here. Nice, and now we have some green lines to show us what will come next. Everything seems to be good, except that some lines are not as parallel as they should. But maybe you should test the animation. Let's disable overlays and see if it looks good. If there is something off, we can adjust. It actually does look good. There is one line that seems off here. On which frame it is? Here, so we forgot to fix these two lines. Enable overlays again and move this guy here, move this guy here. Select these two, G, and move them here. Double overlays again, zoom out and try the animation again. I think it does look good. So if you want to adjust again, the parallelness of the lines, maybe you could just have a common ground between these two and create a transition between this state and this state instead of fixing this one. Because if I fix this one here and make it parallel to this one, I will need also to duplicate this one here and make it the new frame one. And then I will have to fix the rest of the frames to go with the frame that I modified. So if you edit this one, you will have to edit the frames that come after it. But I can instead just have like a transition between this line and this line. So I move this line a little bit to the middle, and now I can imagine the transition between this state, and then it bends a little bit, and then it bends again, and we have this. We can do the same here. Here it is parallel, there's no problem. Here we have this, and we can also adjust and put this point here in the middle between this edge and this edge, the red and the green edge. So we move it here. Here it looks good, but maybe I can also adjust a little bit and put this point between this place and this place like this. I think this is really great. I think we finished drawing our lines. Let's disable overlays again and try again. And yes. Now it's time to add some colors to fill the flag. And for that, we need to create a new layer. Let's do Y. Go on the triangle layer and we can hit the plus sign to create a new layer. And here it is. Here it also is. And since the playhead was on frame 8, a keyframe was added here. We don't need it. Let's delete it. XD. And see that the layer disappeared from here because it doesn't have any keyframes. Let's go here and rename it to fills. Enter. And let's go here and go to frame 1, shift left arrow. And now we can go to draw mode, control tab, hover over draw mode and release, control tab. And we will select our fill tool. And then I want to go under advanced and disable visual aids. So visual aids are useful when you have gaps in your filling area. But since we don't have gaps, we will disable this so that we can fill with just one click. On layers here, we'll choose visible so that when filling, Blender will take into consideration all the visible layers. And we have more options here. You can, for example, choose to fill using the active layer strokes only. So with this done, with visual aids disabled, we can switch from material mode to color attributes mode. We can select a green color, this one, or you can select any color from here. Make sure that you have solid fill as your material, and in this case it is pinned to the bucket or the fill tool. And then we can either fill each frame manually, or we can use this guy that is called multi-frame. So with this guy selected, I will unlock the flag layer here, or you can do it from here too. I will select all the frames here, and then make sure that your fills layer is active here. And then you can go here and left click, and you see all these new keyframes were added to our fill layer. And we have this weird shape here. It's because Blender now is displaying all the frames that are selected all at once. And that's what multi-frame does. And it helps us fill all the layers at once. If I disable multi-frame now and play, you can see that all the layers were filled, which is great, isn't it? There's only one problem. If you hide the lines layer, you see that we have some gaps here under the lines. And that's because Blender took in consideration these lines when filling, so it turned around them. So I think it's best to hide the lines layer while filling. So let's try to do Ctrl Z and undo our filling. And now I will hide my lines layer. Can I put the cursor on a different frame? Since all these keyframes are selected, I guess it will work the same. Again, make sure that the fills layer is selected so that the fill is added to this layer and not to a different layer, and that your flag layer is unlocked and that all the keyframes there are selected. you can do it with another layer that has all the keyframes on actually. So let's select, for example, the edge layer and select all these keyframes. And then I will select my fills layer and I will try again. And yes, it seems to have worked. And now let's disable multi-frame and let's try to play the animation. Yes, it worked. Now I can unhide our lines and we have this. And now we have to fill these faces here. And I want to have a lighter color here and a darker color here. So I will go here. And with this color selected, I'll make it a little bit lighter. I will also decrease the saturation here. And then I'll go to frame 1, shift left arrow. Again, with the fills layer selected, I'll go here and fill. Then I will fill this face too. Then with the right arrow on the keyboard, I go to the next frame, fill these two, next frame, fill this one, next frame, fill this one, next frame, fill this one. So here we will need to do it manually because the fill areas will move place and it's hard to click on one spot and fill them all. And I think we finished. Let's go back to frame 1, shift left arrow. This time I will use a darker color. So again, I select my color here and then I make it darker. Then I click here, right arrow here, right arrow here, right arrow here, right arrow here and 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 here, right arrow here, right arrow here, right arrow here, right arrow here, and right arrow here. And now let's play and we are done. And it seems to be a perfect fill, but sometimes the fill is not that perfect. For example, let's go to sculpt mode. Let's do Control Tab and select sculpt mode here. Then I will enable overlays. Let's zoom in on this fill here. I have here edge selected in selection mask so that I can select the edge of my fill here with Alt and then left click. And then with this tool selected, the push tool, I can sculpt this guy like this. So sometimes when you fill, you will get some gaps like this. Let's disable overlays again. A random gap here, for example, another random gap here. They may be on different keyframes. And when you play the animation, you will see the flickering. You see something like this. See, a white dot appears here, another one appears here, etc. And to fix that, you need to go here to sculpt mode, go to your keyframe where you have that gap and zoom in. Let's enable overlays again. And you go to your edge, you select edge select here, and then you do Alt left click to select that edge, and now you can sculpt it again with this tool selected. So let's do again Alt left click and can move this up and hide that gap. And you can also smooth the lines if you want. You can do shift, left click and drag, and you can smooth your fills. This is also hard work, but it can be soothing if you have time to go through all these fills and fix them like this. Let's do Alt, left click, move this up, shift, left click and drag to smooth these lines. So this is totally optional, but often when I fill my shapes, I get those nasty gaps. And that's what I wanted to talk about because you may have them on your art. So this is it. This is how we fill a flag. Now it's time to do some shading. This is an optional step and I will use my graphics tablet, but you can use your mouse. And I will also show you two methods of doing it. So let's go to draw mode again, Control Tab, draw mode, and we can select our draw tool again. Let's create a new layer. Let's create it from here this time. So with the fills layer selected, we do plus to add a layer above and then double click and name it shading. Enter. We are on the wrong frame, so I will move to frame 1, shift left arrow, and I will move this keyframe, select G and move it here, or you can just left click on it and drag it to any frame you want. Now I will switch to my airbrush here, and if I try to draw with the mouse, I get this stroke. Let's do Ctrl Z, but with the pen, with the tablet, simply get pressure sensitivity enabled here and here. If I draw, I get thinner strokes. And if I press harder, I will get thicker and thicker strokes. Let's do Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. I will choose the light green color. I'll go here, do E, and click on this color, and now it is here. And you can start painting some shading like this. Maybe some here, maybe some here, and here. And then you can use the right arrow to go to the next frame and keep doing the same thing until you finish everything. It's a manual process, and there is another method that you can choose is to go here and switch to the solid fill. And with the draw tool, you can draw fills like this. So instead of doing these, you can instead draw some circles here or any other shapes if you wish. Something like this, for example. Let's select, for example, a dark color, E, select this dark green, and you can draw something like here and here for a shadow. And don't worry about the spillings here, we can fix that later with masking. So let's do Ctrl Z, or we can just go to edit mode. If you want to delete everything, let's enable overlays. Do A to select everything, and now every stroke and point on this layer is selected. The other layers are locked, of course. We can do X and either D, dissolve, or P for points, because we want to delete everything and everything is selected. So XD and back to draw mode tab. If you don't want to get distracted by all these lines of onion skinning, we can disable onion skinning on all the layers like this with these icons here and here, and keep the onion skinning only on the shading layer. So again, back to frame 1, and let's use our dot stroke again. With the airbrush, make sure that you always use a dot stroke. With a solid stroke, you get something ugly like this. See the difference between this and this? Ctrl Z, solid stroke. Let's switch to dot stroke. We can pin it so that it doesn't change by mistake or something. And since the darker color is selected, we can start with the shadows. Maybe do something like this here and something here. I will do it really quickly here, and then on these folds here we will have some shadow here. Don't be afraid to spill on the upper side, but on the lower side inside the flag try not to spill, and if you do spill you should fix it in sculpt mode. So let us do this, and then to the next frame with the arrow, and we draw something like this here, 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 to the next frame with the right arrow. Let's draw something like this here. This one maybe will disappear in the next frame. This one will be only slide to the next frame. Maybe move this a little bit down here. We'll do some fixing later. So try to do it right, but don't worry if it's not perfect. Now I can add some shading here in this place and some here. Then again some here. Now this one will go here, again here, here, and here to the 7th frame. Now this one can go like this. Be aware that this fold is the one that will turn to this. So the shading that you see here will turn into something that looks like this with time. It's like we are looking at the same fold in different times. This one will move and go to this place, and the same with this one. This one will move and go here, and that is the hard part when doing looping animations. See, now it turns to an arc just like this one. And this one too will have some shadow. So it's like this one will be this one with time. This one will move and go here, and that's why we need some transition or some similarity between this and this. So again here, very nice. To the next frame, again here, and this one is the last one. Control Z. Now we can try and play this space, and we have this. Seems that we skipped one frame here with this line. Let's try to identify it. Yes, it's this one here, in between the red and the green. The problem is we have green here, so we can change the colors again for onion skin and under here, green to blue, and now it's clear which one is the next frame and which one is the previous one. And we can play again. Yes, we fixed that gap here. And for the spill-in here, with the shading layer selected, you can go here and enable masking. And then under masks here, you choose the fills layer as the mask, and now the fills are hiding the extra strokes that we have outside of the flag. Just so you know, you can also invert your mask here, and now it does the opposite. So let's play again. This is an interesting look. It is handmade and there is some flickering in it. It looks like some old animation. And now on frame 1 again, we can do the lighter part. So we put the cursor here again, E, and let's click on the light color here. And I will add some highlights in here. Maybe a little bit here and here. Go to the next frame. Maybe this time I will add a tiny little dot here, again here and here, a little bit here. To the next frame. This one will get a little bit bigger. This one will go here, and this one like this. Then we will like this, and maybe like this. To the next frame. We didn't have one here, so maybe I'll add a tiny dot here and make it bigger here. To the next frame. This one should get bigger and to the point where it becomes this. Here, 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 and this one. I'll start with this one this time. Make this one bigger. We don't need this one anymore because the flag is bending, and this part shouldn't be lighter. Again, this one here, this one here, this one. Again, with looping animations, this can be hard because we need to fit the dot that is coming from here to the one that was here and try to blend them together. We can add a new dot just here. Let's add some here and do these. So let's try to play this. It's not that bad. See the transition? This dot goes down and turns into this one. We have some flickering, especially I think between the last frame and the first frame. To adjust that, we can duplicate this one to the last frame, number 13, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and now we have the onion skinning, and we can try to do some blending between this frame, the last one, and the first one, that is now this one. So let's switch to sculpt mode, and I like to sculpt using my mouse. You can keep the selection mask here on, and you will need, of course, to select your strokes using Alt left click. Then you can sculpt. And since we don't have a lot of overlapping strokes, we can disable this. And this way we can sculpt any stroke we want. So we can, for example, go and put this one between these two. This one, I don't know. Maybe put it here somewhere between the red and the blue, the previous and the next. This one seems to be fine here. So we are using the push tool. If you have strokes that are too thick or too thin, you can adjust the thickness by using this brush. You can increase the size of the brush F and move your cursor, then left click. And you can choose to either increase the thickness by choosing plus here, let's do Ctrl Z, or decrease the thickness like this. So again, to the push tool, see if we have something that we can adjust here. And then we can go back again and see what we have here and try to adjust, for example, this one, and make the transitions between the frames smoother. Again, this time to frame 10 and see that this one is much bigger than this one. You can make it in a size that is in between these two. This one looks rather fine. This one also maybe put it here in between the red and the blue. You can also use Shift to smooth your strokes like this. Shift and drag. This one back to frame 9 and try to adjust a little bit more. And I think the more you move, the more you do it, the easier also it gets. Because if you adjust this one here, for example, when you go to the previous frame, you'll find that it's easier to fit it because you already adjusted the one after it, I guess. It's a little bit hard to explain, but I find that the first frames that you do are harder to adjust than the next ones. See here that when I'm moving this one, I'm also moving this one. So in that case, if you see that you have overlapping strokes, well, I can go here and zoom in. And now I can select only this one or move only this one. But if you have overlapping strokes, you can again enable selection mask, enable stroke selection, alt left click, and now you don't fear to mess with any other strokes. Let's disable it again. So again, look at this one, look where is the blue, where is the red, try to put it in between. So this one looks a little bit short, this one taller, and this one needs to have something in between. Not as short as this one and not as tall as this one. You can move this one here. So if you see that it is too soft, you can also increase the strength or the opacity of the stroke. So we select this tool, we can increase the size of the brush again and can left click quickly and increase the opacity. We can do the opposite too if you select the minus sign. Now I think Control and left click will do the opposite. Left click will get you more opacity and Control left click will get you the opposite. Let's try to do this instead. So now left click will get you less and Control left click will get you more. Maybe these ones. Oops. Control Z. I'm still on my opacity brush. So we select the brush again and do this. It's good that we have Control Z, that magic key. You can move these ones to put them here or maybe increase the strength or the opacity so that, I'm doing the opposite. So increase it, nice. If you have some spilling, you can use the push tool and push the strokes so that it doesn't spill here. To the previous frame, frame number 7, and try to adjust. Put this one in between of these two, and this one also here. See here, so I will zoom in so that I don't touch the stroke. Again, if you want to smooth, shift and drag. You see sometimes that you have the illusion that you are moving the blue and the red dots too. But they are not moving, it's just this effect of the airbrush where the colors blend. That makes you think that the blue is moving, but it's not. So don't worry about that. Zoom in, move this one in between. See, there's that illusion again. In between the red and the blue. To frame 6. Let's do the same here. Again, here you see that it's not opaque enough, so we'll use the strength brush. And if you have some spilling, you can fix it. It's Control Z. Again, I'll use this brush. So switch to the push again. Shift spacebar will allow us to have this menu in which we can quickly change the brush we are using. So you can map Shift spacebar also to your tablet, so that with one click of a button, switch brushes quickly. So select the push brush, and we can move here between these two and try also to make the size between these two. To frame number 5, move this one a little bit down. This one seems to be not bad. Here, maybe move this a little bit down. To frame number 3. See, we seem to have less and less adjustments to make the more we get closer to frame number 1. And this is frame number 1. And if you did some edits on frame number 13, when you were here, you need to replace this one with this one. So sometimes it's not enough to just adjust frame number 12, but you need to do some adjustments to frame number 13. In that case, you replace the first frame with the one that you modified here. So now let's try to play this again. Let's disable overlays. We have a beautiful transition here between this circle that goes small and then bigger again, then small again and disappear. Maybe this one can be better, maybe longer on the start, but see that it pops on frame 1 and here there is nothing. So maybe we can add more here. So let's go to draw mode again and enable overlays, so that we see the onion skinning. So we have this blue line that is a guide. Let's use the dark color again. So I drop this color and try to draw something like this. Then to frame number 11 and do something just smaller here. So now if I play again, you see that the transition here is smoother. You get like a small shade that gets bigger and then down. You see also that we have some spilling here. Let's disable overlays again. On some frames we have some spilling. I wasn't focusing on these spills like here. So we can do another pass to fix these spills. Also, when we have less opacity here on the edge, we can fix the opacity. And if you have any parts that look weird, you can do another pass and fix it. And the more you do it, the better the animation will look. Here also, if you look closely, see that shadow just disappears suddenly. You should find where that happens and try to fix it. Yeah, it happens here. So suddenly we go from shadow to non-shadow. Maybe we can add something here on this frame, enable overlays and draw something, just a slight shadow here. Go back here, or you can also decrease the opacity of this one or make it smaller, thickness or opacity. So you can go to sculpt mode and select the thickness tool. The minus sign here is selected. Disable overlays to see clearly. Maybe with the strength is better. So we select the strength brush. We have the plus sign here. We can switch to minus, or I will use the control key. So control and some clicks. And we have this. Let's try to animate again. And now it disappears more slowly. This work can be never ending, and it also can be fun. And the more you practice, the better you'll be at it. I myself am not very good at shading, but I did some practice. I did this like again 5 times or 6 times. I recorded the tutorial and discarded the recordings and did it again. And every time you do it, the next time it's easier. So this is it, guys. Congratulations on finishing your waving flag. Afterwards, I worked a bit more on the flag. Especially here on the end, we have like these dots that disappear suddenly. So this is another version that I will show you. Let's hit play. And here you see that the dots get smaller and disappear more slowly. So of course, as I said, it's a never-ending process. You can improve this piece forever. And I also moved the camera in object mode, so you select the camera and you can move it around with G. You can also get closer to the flag if you do G, Y and move, drag your mouse like this. It's like zoom in and out, and you actually get in the camera closer or further from the flag. Let's do escape. You can do GX to move on the X-axis, or you can just do G and move it around freely. You can move vertically using G and Z. So this way the flag is centered on the screen here. Of course, you can instead move the flag object. If you select the flag, you can also do G and move the flag like this. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to support the channel, go on Gumroad and buy the final file. Thanks for watching and see you in another video. Peace.